The secret to staying happy and avoiding loneliness in later life. Welcome back to Elderly Care, where we talk about what really matters as we age: our health, our happiness, and staying connected to life. Now, let's talk about a question that might feel a little too familiar for some of us. What should I do every day to avoid feeling lonely when I'm older and alone? Maybe your kids have grown and moved away, your partner has passed, or your circle has simply gotten smaller. You're not alone in feeling alone. But here's the thing: loneliness isn't a life sentence. There are things we can do, every day, that actually help. Things that are simple, backed by science, and that bring real joy back into your life. So stay with me, because in this episode, we're going to explore those daily habits not as a cure-all, but as tools. And we'll share real stories from people just like you, along with the science behind what works. The quiet epidemic of loneliness in old age. Let's start with something that's hard to say out loud but needs to be said. Growing old can be lonely. Not always, but more often than we admit. And for many older adults, that loneliness isn't just a passing feeling. It becomes a way of life. The U.S. Surgeon General recently called loneliness a public health epidemic. That's strong language, and for good reason. The CDC found that chronic loneliness and social isolation increased the risk of dementia by 50%, heart disease by 29%, and even premature death by nearly 30%. That's about the same risk as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. 15. But let's be real here: loneliness isn't just about being alone. It's about feeling unseen, unheard, and sometimes, even forgotten. You can be sitting in a room full of people, with a television humming in the background, neighbors going about their day, and still feel like no one really knows what's going on inside of you. That quiet ache, that's the real loneliness we're talking about. Let me tell you about Bill. He's 78, retired Navy, lost his wife 6 years ago. His kids are good folks, they call on birthdays, send pictures of the grandkids, but they live 3 states away. Bill goes to the same diner every morning, orders the same coffee and eggs, and sits at the same booth. The waitress knows his name, but they only chat for a few minutes. Then he goes home, and the silence in the house hits like a wave. He once told me, "It's not the talking I miss. It's just the feeling that someone's life is tangled up with mine." That stuck with me. And you know what? He's not alone in that feeling. Research from Harvard's 80-year study of adult development, one of the longest studies ever done on aging, found that the single most important factor for a happy, healthy life isn't money, or fame, or even avoiding disease. It's having close, meaningful relationships. People who felt connected, whether to friends, family, or a community, lived longer, stayed mentally sharper, and reported more life satisfaction. So what does that tell us? It tells us loneliness isn't something we should just accept as part of aging. It's something we need to actively respond to, like we would with high blood pressure or arthritis. And that response? It doesn't have to be big or dramatic. Sometimes, it's as simple as a daily phone call, a walk to the mailbox where you wave to a neighbor, joining a book club even if you're not really into reading. It's not about fixing loneliness in one big swoop. It's about showing up for yourself, just a little, every day. The truth is, loneliness isn't weakness. It's a signal, a quiet but powerful one that says, you still need people. And people still need you. And we'll explore exactly how to respond to that call, starting with simple, daily habits that keep your spirit full and your heart open. The power of routine, why daily habits matter. Let's pause for a second and really think about something. When was the last time you looked forward to something small but steady, like your morning cup of coffee, or that one TV show you watched every Thursday night? That kind of rhythm, those little rituals, we sometimes take them for granted. But when you're living alone, especially in the later chapters of life, those small moments of routine can quietly become the backbone of your emotional well-being. I once sat down with a woman named Marlene. She's 84, a widow, and sharp as a tack. She told me something that stuck. When you're older, it's not the big events that keep you going. It's knowing what you're going to do next, even if it's just watering the plants or sitting on the porch at 4 p.m. to watch the neighbors come home. That's the secret right there. Structure. Intention. Predictability. Not in a boring way, but in a comforting way. Because here's what happens when you don't have a routine. The days start to blend. You wake up without a real why. Lunch happens when it happens. And slowly, without even realizing it, time begins to lose its meaning. That's when your mood can dip. That's when the blues sneak in. Dr. Julianne Holt-Lunstad, who's done some of the most eye-opening research on human connection, points out that even small daily interactions can do wonders for your mental health. I'm talking about simple things like saying hello to your mail carrier, waving to your neighbor across the driveway, or calling your cousin every Sunday at 6 p.m., like clockwork. These aren't just routines. They are lifelines. Let me tell you about Mr. Davis. He's 91, and still walks to the corner store every morning, rain or shine. He says hello to the cashier, picks up a banana and a newspaper, and then heads home. That trip? It takes him 20 minutes. But it gives him purpose. It keeps his legs moving, his heart open, and his mind alert. It's more than a chore, it's part of who he is. Routine helps with more than just mood. It also reduces stress, improves sleep, and gives your brain something to expect. And as we age, predictability can be comforting. It tells your nervous system, you're safe. You're okay. Life is still moving. Here's a gentle idea for you: try to build a daily anchor. Something that's just for you. Maybe it's a 10-minute stretch, a morning prayer, reading one poem before bed, or calling your daughter after dinner. Pick one thing you love or used to love. Make it a little ceremony. Repeat it. Let it become yours. And when life feels shaky, and sometimes it really does, those small, dependable habits can hold you up like a hand on your back. Because it's not about filling every hour. It's about filling your heart little by little, day by day. Start with 1, morning light and movement. Let's talk about something simple, but incredibly powerful: the morning. How you begin your day can set the tone for everything that follows. And it doesn't have to be complicated. One of the easiest ways to start fresh is by stepping outside, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Trust me, those few minutes under the morning sky, whether it's sunny or overcast, do wonders for you. Here's why: the morning light works its magic by resetting your circadian rhythm. In simpler terms, it tells your body, hey, it's time to wake up. That natural light helps kickstart your body's production of serotonin, that wonderful feel-good hormone. It's the kind of thing that can help you feel better all day and can even improve your sleep later on. There's real science behind this. A study published in the Journal of Affective Disorders found that exposure to natural morning light actually reduced symptoms of depression in older adults. I know it might sound too simple to be true, but small things like this can have a huge impact on how you feel. Now, while you're soaking up that light, add some gentle movement into the mix. A short walk around the yard, a few simple stretches, or even Tai Chi if that's your thing. You don't need to run a marathon. Even light activity gets the blood flowing and releases endorphins, the body's natural mood lifters. Frank, who's 78, is a perfect example of how this can change your day. Frank lost his wife a few years ago, and like many of us would, he found himself sinking into the silence of the house. He told me, "It felt like the house was swallowing me whole." There was nothing to pull him out of bed, no reason to move. The weight of grief was just too much. Then one day, something shifted. He set an alarm, laced up his shoes, and decided to take a short walk around the block. Just 5 minutes. No pressure. That was 3 years ago, and now, Frank is out every morning. He says, "I don't walk to forget. I walk to live." What's incredible is how this simple change transformed his life. The walk itself was nothing extraordinary, but it became his anchor. He says the neighbors started to recognize him, and he even has a chat with the crossing guard every morning, something small but meaningful. It doesn't erase the grief, of course. Frank's loss is still there, and no morning walk will take that away. But what it does is give him something to look forward to. It gives him a reason to start the day, a rhythm. It's a lifeline. So, what can we learn from Frank's story? It's the power of starting small. Sometimes, the first step is the hardest. Just one simple action like stepping outside can change the way your day unfolds. It can be the push you need to feel like you're moving forward, even on the hardest days. The thing is, it's not about running marathons or hitting the gym every morning. It's about taking that small step, whatever it may be, to help yourself feel a little better. Start with one thing, one small habit, and see how it changes your outlook on the day. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. You're not the only one walking that walk. Sometimes, just the thought of doing something with others, even if it's just in spirit, can be enough to make it easier. Small acts of connection. If there's one habit that stands out, one thing you should absolutely try to weave into your daily life, it's connecting with someone. And I mean anyone. It doesn't have to be a long chat, and it doesn't always have to be a close friend. It could be something as simple as calling up a friend, sending a text to a family member, or chatting with the cashier at your local grocery store. Even something as small as smiling at someone in the park can have a huge impact. I know it might sound like nothing, but those micro interactions, they really matter. There's a great study by psychologist Susan Pinker in her book The Village Effect that sheds light on how vital these small moments of connection are. She found that people who engage in regular face-to-face interactions tend to live longer. Yes, you heard that right. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better. People who have more meaningful connections, whether with family, friends, or even strangers they bump into, experience lower levels of stress, improved mood, and an increased sense of purpose. In a way, these interactions act like tiny boosts to our well-being. Think about it. How often do you leave a conversation with a neighbor or even just exchange a smile with a stranger and find yourself feeling a little lighter, a little happier? That's the power of connection. It's easy to overlook, but it adds up. One of my friends, Marie, is in her 70s. She's lived alone for years, and her routine can sometimes feel a little lonely. But what she's found is that even the smallest connection can make her day. For instance, she makes it a point to chat with a barista at her local coffee shop. It's not a long conversation, just a quick "how's your day going?" or a simple "I love the way you make my coffee." But that little exchange lifts her spirits every time. And she's not the only one. If you think about your own life, I bet you can think of moments where a small interaction brightened your day, whether it was a brief conversation with someone or just a smile that made you feel seen. These interactions are more than just polite exchanges, they are vital for maintaining your mental and emotional health. Mindful moments, journaling and gratitude. Another simple but powerful daily habit that can completely shift your mood is writing. It doesn't take long, just 5 minutes a day. And I'm not talking about writing a book or keeping a detailed diary. No, I'm talking about journaling or writing down what you're grateful for. In fact, research from UC Davis shows that people who keep gratitude journals report higher levels of alertness, enthusiasm, and even determination. When we take a moment to reflect on the positive things in our lives, it rewires our brains to focus on the good, instead of getting stuck in negativity. You don't need fancy prompts or complicated exercises. Keep it simple. Just ask yourself, what made me smile today, or what am I looking forward to tomorrow? It's the little things that add up, like a warm cup of coffee in the morning or the joy of hearing birds sing outside your window. You'd be surprised at how those moments, when written down, can instantly shift your mindset. I want to share a story about Evelyn, who's 82 and lives alone in Arizona. Every morning, without fail, she makes herself a cup of tea and sits down to write in her gratitude notebook. It might sound like a small thing, but it's become a powerful ritual for her. She writes down 3 things she's grateful for each day. Sometimes, she says with a laugh, it's just the birds at the feeder or the fact that I didn't have knee pain this morning. But for Evelyn, it's not about the grand gestures. It's about noticing the small blessings in her day. I know it sounds simple, she told me once, but it really helps me remember that life's still happening. I'm still here. That's the beauty of gratitude. It helps you stay grounded in the present moment, focusing on what's good, no matter how small it may seem. Evelyn's practice might seem simple, but it's a powerful reminder of the strength in focusing on the positive. And she's not the only one who's found comfort in this habit. Whether it's keeping a gratitude journal or just jotting down a few thoughts in the morning, these small acts of mindfulness can bring peace and clarity to your life. Purposeful engagement, hobbies, volunteering, and learning. You know, loneliness often isn't just about being by yourself. It's about feeling like you don't have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Sometimes, it's not just the lack of people around you, it's the lack of purpose. And that's something that hits many of us as we get older. Once retirement comes, the daily grind is gone, and if we don't find something that stirs our hearts, we can easily start feeling like we don't matter as much anymore. But here's the thing, doing something that truly matters to you, whether it's something you've loved for years or something completely new, can make all the difference. I'm talking about finding your passion, whether that's gardening, knitting for new moms, volunteering at a local food bank, or joining a community class at your local rec center. These things might sound small, but they give us a sense of meaning. They remind us that we still have something to give. Take lifelong learning, for instance. Studies show that keeping our minds engaged with new information can help protect us from cognitive decline. It's been shown that learning new skills, picking up a hobby, or even volunteering keeps the brain sharp. And, of course, learning something new can make us feel more confident and boost our self-worth. There's an incredible, almost 80-year-long study called the Harvard Study of Adult Development, and it found that one of the strongest predictors of happiness in later life is meaningful engagement. Whether it's working on a new skill or contributing to your community, staying engaged is essential for a fulfilling life. I want to tell you about a guy named George. He's 74 years old and had been feeling a little isolated after retiring. He had a lot of time on his hands, but no real purpose. One day, he decided to sign up for a computer basics class at his local library just to pass the time. He figured it would be a good way to keep busy and maybe meet a few people. Well, something unexpected happened. Not only did George learn how to use a computer, but he found himself enjoying it so much that he started helping the other members of the class. Now, every Tuesday, you'll find him teaching new students how to send emails or navigate the internet. It feels good to be useful again, George says. I didn't think people needed me anymore. Turns out they do. George's story is a beautiful reminder that it's never too late to try something new. It's easy to think that your time to learn or make a difference has passed, but you'd be surprised at how impactful you can be. Whether it's sharing your skills with others or learning something fresh, it helps remind us that we're still relevant, still connected, and still needed. A lot of times, the key to beating loneliness is not just about having company, it's about having something to give, something that gives you a sense of purpose. And that's what hobbies and volunteering can offer. It's not just about filling up your time, it's about making your time meaningful. I remember a woman named Ruth who started volunteering at a local animal shelter in her 80s. She'd always loved animals, but her life had been busy raising kids and working, so she hadn't had the time to fully pursue that passion. When she retired, she found herself with an empty house and a lot of quiet moments. But then, she saw an ad for volunteers at the shelter and thought, why not? Ruth started going in a couple of days a week to help clean cages and walk dogs. She would tell me how rewarding it felt to see the dogs light up when she walked in, wagging their tails, so excited to get outside. I thought I was going there to help them, Ruth said, but it turns out they're helping me more than I could ever imagine. Ruth found her purpose in a way that surprised her. Not only did it give her something to do, but it also gave her a way to contribute to her community. That feeling of giving back is something that can completely transform your mood, your mental health, and your sense of belonging. So, whether it's a new hobby, a volunteer role, or taking up a class you've always been curious about, there's no shortage of ways to find purpose. And it's not about doing it for anyone else, it's about doing it for you. Digital connection, without overwhelm. Let's face it, technology can be intimidating, especially when it feels like it's changing every day. But the truth is, digital connection is a game changer, even for older adults. It's not about mastering every app or keeping up with the latest trend. It's about finding the tools that help you feel connected to the people and things you care about. And trust me, it's easier than you might think. When I talk to older adults about technology, a lot of them feel like it's too much to learn. And I get it, new tech can feel overwhelming. But here's the thing, you don't need to know it all. Start small. A simple video call with family or friends can feel like a lifeline, especially when you're missing those face-to-face interactions. Being able to see and hear the people you care about, even if they are miles away, can make a world of difference in how connected you feel. I remember a conversation with my neighbor, Mrs. Thomas. She's in her late 70s and used to shy away from her computer. She felt like the whole thing was beyond her. But after some encouragement from her daughter, she took a class on how to use video calling apps like Zoom. At first, she was hesitant, but once she made that first call to her granddaughter in another state, she was hooked. I didn't think I'd ever get the hang of it, she told me, but now I can see my grandkids almost every week. It's not the same as being there in person, but it's the next best thing. Technology doesn't have to be overwhelming. It's all about taking one step at a time. There are great resources out there, like AARP's tech training programs, which offer simple, easy-to-follow tutorials to help older adults get the hang of video calls, messaging apps, and even watching movies together online. Once you learn the basics, you'll realize how much is possible, whether it's sending photos to your kids, joining virtual book clubs, or watching movies with friends. Digital connection can be a huge asset to your social life. And the best part? You don't have to figure it out alone. If you're unsure, ask someone for help. Most of us have a younger friend or family member who can walk you through it. Don't be afraid to ask, they'll be happy to help, and soon you'll feel like a pro. Nourishing the body, supporting the mind. When it comes to staying happy and healthy, we often focus on the emotional side of things, which is super important. But we can't overlook the physical side, because what we put into our bodies affects how we feel, both emotionally and mentally. Let's talk about food for a minute. Nutrition isn't just about keeping your weight in check or managing chronic health conditions, it's also about supporting your brain and emotional well-being. If you want to feel good, you've got to fuel your body with the right things. For example, did you know that omega-3 fatty acids, found in foods like salmon, can help support brain health? These little guys are essential for maintaining memory and cognitive function, especially as we get older. I was chatting with Mary, a 69-year-old woman who's been following a Mediterranean-style diet for years, and she told me something I'll never forget. "It's not just the food, it's how I feel after I eat it," she said. "When I eat salmon or a big salad with greens, I feel more energized and clear-headed. And when I eat processed foods, I can almost feel the fog coming over me." That's not just Mary's experience, science backs it up. A study published in Nutritional Neuroscience found that older adults who followed a Mediterranean-style diet had lower rates of depression and cognitive decline. The foods they eat, full of fruits, vegetables, fish, and healthy fats, help reduce inflammation in the brain and support mental health. The Mediterranean diet isn't just delicious, it's also packed with nutrients that help you feel better inside and out. Now, let's not forget about hydration. You'd be surprised how many of us don't drink enough water, especially as we age. Even mild dehydration can have a big impact on your mood, memory, and energy levels. I know it sounds simple, but staying hydrated is one of the easiest ways to keep yourself feeling sharp and positive throughout the day. It's all about keeping the body running smoothly so that your mind can do the same. I'll share a little story about my friend Bob, who used to struggle with brain fog and low energy. He noticed that he felt worse in the afternoons and had trouble focusing on things he used to enjoy. After chatting with his doctor, Bob started paying more attention to his hydration, drinking water regularly throughout the day. He also added more anti-inflammatory foods to his diet, like leafy greens, nuts, and berries. After just a few weeks, he felt like a new person. "I didn't realize how much I was missing," he said, "until I started taking better care of myself." The bottom line: the right foods, along with proper hydration, are key to supporting both your body and mind. It's not about perfection, it's about making small, sustainable changes that add up over time. Rest and reflection, nightly rituals that heal. You know, as the day winds down, evenings can feel a little too quiet. Especially if you're living alone, the stillness at night can feel heavier than usual. That's why it's so important to have something to ground you at the end of the day, a ritual that helps you unwind, reflect, and, most importantly, feel connected. It doesn't have to be anything complicated, just a moment to bring closure to your day. For some people, it's as simple as reading a chapter from a favorite book. For others, it might be a quiet prayer or a call to a friend. Some enjoy listening to soothing music that calms the mind after a busy day. What matters is that this ritual signals to your mind and body that the day is coming to an end, and it's time to relax. It creates a sense of rhythm and comfort, something familiar to look forward to as the world around you settles down. It's not just about the ritual itself, it's also about how you wind down. Sleep hygiene plays a huge role in how well we sleep and how we feel the next day. Simple things, like dimming the lights, turning off screens an hour before bed, and sticking to a regular bedtime routine, can make a huge difference in the quality of your sleep, and that impacts everything from mood to memory. I think about Dolores, an 85-year-old woman I met a while back. She's got a nightly routine that she swears by. Every evening, she sits down with a cup of lavender tea, does a crossword puzzle, and calls her sister in Texas. "It helps me feel tucked in," she told me. "Even if no one's here." It's such a simple thing, but I can see how it gives her comfort at the end of each day. That little ritual is her way of staying connected to herself, to her sister, and to the simple joys that make life feel a little less lonely. You don't have to make big changes to create a meaningful nighttime ritual. It could be as easy as lighting a candle before bed, or taking 5 minutes to reflect on something you're grateful for that day. The key is consistency, having that small moment to close the day in peace, knowing that tomorrow will be another opportunity to do it all over again. So here's the heart of it. Growing older and living alone doesn't have to mean you're isolated or disconnected. Every small action you take each day, whether it's getting outside for some fresh air, saying hello to a neighbor, jotting down a thought, or learning something new, is a step toward fighting off loneliness and embracing connection. None of this is about achieving perfection. It's not about a magic fix or a quick solution. But there is a path forward. And that path is paved with small, manageable actions that, over time, lead to meaningful changes. If today feels heavy, don't worry. Start with just one thing. Maybe take a walk, or even just pick up the phone and call a friend. Then, do it again tomorrow. And the next day. It's these tiny, consistent choices that help build a life filled with purpose and connection, even in our later years. Happiness in old age, you see, isn't a matter of luck. It's about the little things we choose to do each and every day. So if today feels tough, don't give up. Just take one small step. Thanks so much for being here with us on Elderly Care. If you found something helpful today, or know someone who could benefit from these tips, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share your story with us in the comments. Remember, we're all in this together.